Hello and welcome everyone to the EMEA APEC session for the new contributor orientation meeting. Welcome. Before we start, some housekeeping items. Firstly, this meeting is recorded and will be published on YouTube. All meetings in the Kubernetes community abide by a code of conduct, which you can find in the link on the bottom of the slide. Basically sums up, please be respectful to you and your fellow attendees. Generally be excellent to each other. Please use the chat to ask questions and have a discussion throughout this call. A copy of the slides is in GitHub and the link can be found in the meeting invite. Also note on GitHub, the slides are provided as a PDF file. The links in the deck are not clickable as displayed on GitHub, but they should be clickable once you download the slide. The purpose of this meeting is to orient you in the Kubernetes community. That means giving you a sense of how the community works and what your part is or what your part could be. We will start off with a presentation to convey information about the community. Then we will have a Q&A section where you're welcome to ask any questions you would like to have. Hearing questions that you ask can also benefit anyone that is watching this recording. So, hi, I'm Mario. I'm a co-chair for SIG Contributor Experience. I'm also the comms subproject tech lead. What a subproject is, what a SIG is, we will get into in a bit. I'm also part of SIG Kate's Infra. Now let's dive in. Kubernetes. The Kubernetes community is a very big group of people who work together to create and maintain the Kubernetes project. Here are some numbers to give you a sense of how big the community is. We track data about our contributions via GitHub and a few other contributor tools, and we are collecting them with a tool called DevStats. This is basically a big database of information about Kubernetes contributions, and you're welcome to explore it yourself. These stats were pulled in March of 2024. No, sorry, March 2025. We are already in 2025. And we had over 94,000 contributors, so we are close to 100K. And we had 4.56 million contributions. And all of these contributions have been reviewed by only 7,800 people. We will talk more about what a contribution might mean and who a reviewer might be in a little bit later in this presentation. Now, before we dive deeper into the community, some of you may be unfamiliar with what Kubernetes is and what it does. Kubernetes is an open source container orchestration tool. Open source means that it's made by people around the world, some of whom are paid to work on it, but many of whom are volunteers. And the code of the Kubernetes software is publicly available under an open source license that describes exactly who, when, and how the software and its source code can be used. And the cool thing is that Kubernetes does its orchestration containers, and let's go over to what this means. Businesses have many applications they need to run. For example, they may have a payroll application, a logistics application, or a company website. These applications need to run somewhere. So businesses also have a lot of computers to run those applications on. Kubernetes enables business to say, hey, Kubernetes, here's the computer I have, and here's the app I need to run. You can describe on various levels of detail about how that application needs to run on a hardware it might need, and Kubernetes will run that on a machine for you. It also provides some handy functionality for managing applications while it's running. For example, it can provide some help for the process of updating the applications to a new version. Exactly how all of this magic does is what basically Kubernetes contributors work on. All right, so let's have a look at the Kubernetes community structure. Kubernetes is an open source project within the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. The CNCF is a non-profit organization with the stated mission to make cloud native ubiquitous. To that end, they support many open source projects that enable companies to run applications in the cloud. The CNCF provides a variety of guidance and supports of its projects, including legal support, codes of conduct, help with logos, copyright, and so much more. The pyramid below the CNCF represents the structure of the Kubernetes community. At top, interfacing the most with the CNCF and presiding over various topics that affect the entire community and the project is the steering committee. It's a body of 7 members who are elected by the Kubernetes org members. We'll go over more about what an org membership means shortly. With a project so large, there are many different concepts within the project that need a bit unique skills and knowledge. For example, the way Kubernetes knows where workloads are run, do what is one area of expertise. Meanwhile, the challenge of writing and maintaining Kubernetes docs needs folks with different expertise. People who work on specific areas of the project gather together and in what is called a special interest group or SIG. These break up the work of building and maintaining this Kubernetes project into more sensible chunks. Sometimes, however, there are big areas that need attention that are both significant and cut across SIGs. Sometimes these are split into what we call working groups. A working group is generally temporary, created to address a specific issue and then meant to disappear as focus groups once that topic is sufficiently addressed and by ongoing SIG work. A defining characteristic of working groups is that they generally don't own any code or features, at least not in the long term. Working groups either is or will be owned by one or more SIGs by the time working groups dissolve, unless that SIG itself becomes that working group itself becomes a SIG, which sometimes is happening. But even the work of one SIG can be quite broad in scope. There can be hundreds of contributors in a single SIG. So SIGs further break down their work into sub-projects. Currently, we have 24 special interest groups, 7 working groups, and 3 committees in the Kubernetes community. We can further group the SIGs and working groups by their scope. Some groups operate on a project level, and all other work in the project depends on them. Some groups work on a horizontal level, meaning that they have technical focus that is both deep and broad and own core functionality from a project and architecture perspective. Vertical groups have deep and specific technical focus that depends on the work of horizontal groups. And of course, both horizontal and vertical groups depend on the work of project groups. Here you can see a picture of all of the SIGs and working groups currently active in the Kubernetes project. Just to call out a few, SIG release and docs are groups who work you might be familiar with, and they operate on a project scope. Though you might not have known it, you probably encountered the work of SIG API machinery and SIG auth before. We consider these to be horizontal groups. In the vertical groups, you can find also a lot of familiar concepts like autoscaling, scheduling, networking, and node. You might want to refer back to this diagram later as you explore the groups you want to contribute to. Feel free to ask questions about these in the Q&A or in chat. But for now, we are going to move along and talk a little bit more about contribution. Now you've learned the basics of how the community is structured. Let's start exploring where you fit into all of this. First, let's briefly explore what it might mean to contribute. There are many reasons people contribute to the community, called the Kubernetes community. For some, their job requires contributing. There are also contributors who work with the community on a purely volunteer base. There are also those who were somewhere in the middle, where their work needs time to contribute sometimes, but they also do extra work to the community outside of their job. So why do so many people contribute without getting paid? They may want to grow specific skills for their resume, or they want to meet people working in the industry. Maybe they just think the technology is cool and they want to dive deep and help build it. Or sometimes folk just like being part of a community of people who working towards a common and similar goal. Basically, the most important thing is that you think about why you want to contribute. As you get more and more engaged with the community, you get more out of it, and you can clearly tell people what you want if others know who you are and what you can do. They can more easily help you find work opportunities, and yeah, then the connection helps you more about this. Regardless of what is why you're interested in contributing, you're probably wondering what it means to be a contributor. To answer this question, what it means to be a contributor, let's first explore what might count as a contribution. The truth is, any work you do to support the Kubernetes project is a welcome and value contribution to the community. That sounds broad and vague, but it's important. There's a lot of work done by contributors behind the scenes to make this project run, and it's certainly not all writing code and making pull requests on GitHub. That said, it can certainly help you to have some examples. Here are a few you might have thought of, and some you might not have. For example, did you start off by posting a hello message in the Kubernetes new contributor orientation channel in the Kubernetes Slack? That's a contribution. Have you commented on an issue or a proposal for a new feature or to share your thoughts and opinions? That's also a contribution. Even watching or attending this meeting right now is somewhat a contribution. So you already did a contribution today. As the community, we try our best to acknowledge and appreciate contributions to the community in many forms. But if so many vague and varied things can count as contribution, then what does it mean to be a contributor? There are varying levels of being contributor. You might remember our slide earlier where we mentioned contributors and reviewers. This slide dives into more details what those terms mean. Starting at the bottom, anyone can be a contributor. If you do any of the things mentioned in the previous slide and more, you're already a contributor. If you contribute to the community in any way, then you might then you are basically somewhat called a non-member contributor. This means that you pop into a community and contribute like in a small and disconnected way. But if you want to get really involved with the community, you might go for org membership. There is a question. Hey Mario, I'm genuinely interested in learning and growing, and I'm also looking to strengthen my resume by contributing meaningful to the Kubernetes project. So yeah, basically that's what I will talk about in a sec. So just bear with me. Basically, the next step is to be an org member. This means that you are joining the Kubernetes organization on GitHub. Being an org member gives you higher privileges to act with the tools the contributors use in their work, like Prow. Prow is our bot that we have in GitHub, which helps you to apply labels and configure issues using GitHub commands. Having org membership is also a sign that you're an active, engaged contributor who intends to contribute in more structured ways within the community. You are not just picking up single issues or asking one-off questions. You're probably developing expertise in a certain area of the project. You might be contributing to one or more sub-projects or 6 in a consistent and measurable way. So you'll be ready to become an org member when the contributors that you work with are familiar with what you're doing and can basically vouch and sponsor you for membership. Beyond becoming an org member, there are increasing levels of trust and ownership, which means that you take more responsibility on. Once you've been engaged in the area for a while, you might have enough knowledge to help review specific things in the community, and you might also be able to review pull requests. Eventually, you might be trusted enough to have a final say on whether some code is merged or a contribution is accepted and displayed on something like the Kubernetes IO website. then you would be basically become an approver. If you become a strong expert in a specific area where you are highly trusted, you might become the person others come to questions with, and then you might lead triaging sessions or work in that area. At that point, you basically become a sub-project owner. If you're an expert already, that's who starts leading things in your area and take more responsibilities for various resources within that area and how they can relate to other parts of the project. For example, you might take responsibility of the README file, defining a whole sub-project, which is where people would go to learn about. You might become the contact person who triages requests from other parts of the project. At this point, you are getting a project lead. If you're leading a whole sub-project, that's a considerable chunk of work within a SIG. You're probably interactive and collaborating with leads and other sub-projects, and you're probably developing a pretty strong sense of the mission, objective, and ongoing work in a SIG. At that point, you may become a chair or tech lead of an entire special interest group. If you remember our community structure diagram from earlier, you might be wondering if becoming a member of the steering committee would be the next step. But steering is an elected position. You can actually run for steering at any point past org membership, but you will be more likely to get elected the better other contributors know you and your work. This ladder might seem like a true and only path, but I want to to remind you that there's no single path for your contribution journey. Most contributors end up contributing in multiple areas of the project. Some people even develop ownership in different SIGs at the same time. Just because you're learning and contributing in one SIG doesn't mean you can't check out another. Remember, most contributors are at least partially volunteers. Almost everyone contributing is doing it because they love it. So look around and find a place what you love and where you want what you want to do. Now you know the basic of how the community is structured and how you might fit into this. As we've established, you might already be a non-member contributor. But if you want to do more contributions, let's see what you can do and where to start. The fastest way to make yourself useful will be find a SIG. Find a SIG that basically suits your interest and just start getting involved there. That might not mean immediately picking up an issue and writing code. Often getting involved means attending meetings, reading notes and existing issues, and just generally starting to get a feel for what the group does. Let's explore how you can learn about SIG so you can find groups that are relevant for your area. So where can you start learning? First, check out github.com/Kubernetes/community. In this repo, you can find folders containing information about each SIG and working group. When you click on a SIG folder in a community repo, it will show you that folder's README file. At the top of this file, you'll find a brief summary of what this SIG's focus area is, and likely a link to their more detailed team charter. This will give you a broad, high-level idea of what SIG does, the SIG does. Below there's a summary of the group. You'll find information about when the group meets. Attending meetings is often a great way to learn about what's going on in the group and what they're currently working on, how they also do their work. Attending meetings is a great way to start to getting known to the people. And that's really important because the people need to learn who you are and learn what you are capable of. And also, that you basically can meet the people. Also, you find information about SIG leadership. Most SIGs have both a concept of chairs and tech leads. These leaders are at the same level of trust and responsibility, but likely own different types of tasks supporting the SIG. Chairs tend to do more project management work like for the SIG, while tech leads tend to do more architectural leadership, like managing repos, certain kinds of technical decisions and processes. Each SIG defines what these rules mean to them by themselves, which means that there can be slightly differences in different SIGs. And each will be led a little bit different. You will also find contact information for the SIG. Most SIGs in Kubernetes do have a lot of asynchronous communication that happens in their Slack channel, which you can join by visiting slack.kds.io. Each SIG also has a mailing list. Important announcements for all contributions to a SIG will go out in the mailing list. The mailing list will also be invited to all SIG meetings. This will basically give you invite to all of the SIG meetings, and these are the meetings that you want to attend. You'll also find information about where to find issues and PRs related to that SIG. And other informations like Git teams and anything else inside of this repo. Also, every contributor should join Kubernetes Dev Google Group, also known as KDev. This mailing list is the primary communication channel for important all contributor related information. Checking out each SIG folder will show you lots of information about specific SIGs. But what if you want to find information about all the SIG meetings? The community maintains a contributor website, which is called kds.dev. And within kds.dev, we have a page that with all of the information about all of the public community meetings. So if you're interested, go to kds.dev/calendar to see a list of the meetings. Clicking one of them will bring up a new window for you to add the meeting to your own calendar. This can be a great way also to figure out what meeting times work for you, because a lot of meetings are in US time zone. Now you know how the community is structured and where you could fit in. And now you might also want to know if there's any current open work which you could basically grasp. And we ask the SIG leads each month to share current opportunities they would like to have fulfilled in their SIGs. So there's like evergreen opportunities. Evergreen opportunities are basically things that are always available, where people always are looking for. So each and every SIG usually needs some meeting note takers. Basically, you pop in the meeting, and take notes of the meeting. The good thing is usually for this, you don't have to have any prior knowledge, and that's, yeah, no experience is required. For SIG contributor experience, we have in our comms project something called a spotlight block. A spotlight block is basically the easiest way to describe what a SIG is, and there is no requirement for the spotlight block. So you basically can do this by without any prior knowledge. It's an interview that you have with the SIG folks, and then start writing stuff there. For Maintainer Summit, Maintainer Summit is something that's happening at every KubeCon, where we basically go in and have a meeting with an on-site meeting with all of our maintainers, or a lot of them, to work together, and we need some people to organize this. There are currently some changes towards Maintainer Summit, so this will be changed for the future. What will be what is a working opportunity there and what's not. For SIG docs, we are also basically they have a other structure regarding PRs. So they have a PR Wrangler program, which is basically that you that everyone can review PRs. There's more information can be found in the PR Shadow Wrangler program link. And also they have a new contributor meet and greet, which happens on every first Tuesday of the month at 10:30 UTC. And you can basically find more informations in github.com/community/Kubernetes/community/SIG-docs. Evergreen opportunities are great because they represent work that needs just to be that it's always needs to be doing, and which is likely well defined. But a lot of work is one-off style, which means that it's fixing an issue or work on a new feature. Many of these types of tasks require a certain skill to complete. You might see an open request with a skill that you want to develop and think you should pick this up, but you should be wary of this. If the task would be easy, someone else would have already have done it. Many requests have skill requirements, and no one in the community currently have those skills, or so they can't teach them, or they are open because the people who do have the skills are too busy and can't pick them up, which also means that they are not able to help others. But if you're coming to the community with existing skills like certain programming language, specific technical skills like Linux networking, or expertise in a certain cloud provider, these tasks could be a great opportunity for you to contribute to the community. Basically, now we get to some tasks that require a certain set of skills. So currently we are looking in ContribX, we're looking for help for maintenance of kns.dev. This requires skills in Hugo and Doxy. We also need some help in the mentoring program management, which there we would need help to set up and execute Kubernetes kube mentoring programs. The skills that we need there are organizational skills, communication skills, planning skills, and we also need to help the community keep track of the various mentoring programs we work with, like LFX, Summer of Code. This also requires some familiarity with the Kubernetes community in itself, and some program management skills. Electro is our homegrown software to run elections, which basically we require some help with Python or Flask skills. For SIG-docs, we need some blog review help to basically review blog PRs. We need you to be familiar with the style guide, the content guide, submitting a blog page, and also the reviewing PR guide. And for SIG testing, we need help with Prow. We also need help with our conformance testing tool, where there we basically need to We want to get feedback and help enabling adoption of new conformance testing tools for end users. For SIG Arch, we basically looking for people that want to learn more about broader area of the project. This requires most and foremost willingness to learn and being engaged in a longer time. For the SIG networking, they are currently looking to rebuild the Ingress Nginx gateway implementation from scratch. For API reviewers, we need people that are familiar with the API of SIG networking. For SIG release, we are looking for people that can help us work on automation skills, automation tasks, which is a lot of scripting and willingness to develop a deep familiarity with release process over the time. For SIG security, we are looking for people that have familiarity with CVEs and security concepts and can help there a bit. Are there any questions so far?
It's pretty clear where we should go from here. Thanks, Mario. It's a really nice descriptions and explanation.
Thank you.
Yeah, and sorry, I'm late. I was confused because there are two meetings on the same day. I think I had the old
Yes.
invitation.
No, this is on purpose. One of those meetings is regarding APAC and European friendly, and the other one is for
new contributor orientation.
yeah, but the other one is the same meeting, but for different time zones.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Just then I will quickly add one more thing because this affects a lot of folks, and this is a common contribution pitfalls, and that's the problem with the good first issue. You're now a new person that wants to contribute, and basically, you try to contribute, and you find things like good first issue, and you take it because good first issue is a good first issue, right? The problem is good first issues are usually not good first issues. What does this mean? So you basically you pick it up, and then how do you proceed forward with this? When we mentioned earlier that the Kubernetes community uses tools like Prow to help us manage issues. Are you familiar with the bot? It's fine if you're not. Maybe you'll just start writing code. Those reviewers, approvers, owners we mentioned will appear and make sure the issue has the right labels and stuff on it. Once you've written code, you'll also need to get their attention to review the PR. Remember, there's a lot more contributors than we have reviewers. When you make your PR, reviewers and approvers will be automatically assigned. But what if there's an issue with your code? You might need to go back and forth with the reviewers on GitHub. Are you comfortable using comments, pull requests to see this work done? Most good first issues that get picked up by new non-member contributors never make it to completion. The code never gets checked in. And then the community has all these stale issues and PRs sitting around for work we really needed done. But the person got lost and ended up abandoning their contribution halfway. Then those reviewers and approvers have to go through the process of triaging the issue, opening it again or whatever. And this also takes time. So basically how to avoid this, and that's the easiest way, join the SIG, join the meetings of those SIG, and that's the most important part. And then you basically can start working on issues because the people can also help you. They know you. You have a contact point to ask for questions, and the most important thing is that we get the work done, because we have a lot of problems that basically those issues are never completed. That's a lot of information that we had today. And it's just an orientation meeting. When you join your first SIG meeting, you're probably going to be overwhelmed again. A lot of SIG meetings exist for active existing contributors to collaborate with each other on active in-progress work. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't join as a new contributor. You'll learn faster by joining those meetings and watching the process in action. But it might mean that you feel left out and lost for the few times. Don't be afraid to ask questions by speaking up, asking in a chat or asking in the SIG or sub-project Slack later. The Kubernetes community is a big, diverse place, right? So we have a lot of folks, and there are a lot of parts of the community. And eventually you find your place that you want to stick with. And basically, if you start in a specific SIG and then change to another SIG, that is not an issue, because a lot of folks basically start in a complete different area than they have been originally started out. So they end up in a different area. So basically, it's your journey. It's the journey that you want to that you want to go forward with, and no two contributor journeys are the same. So there's no way of comparing contributor journeys there. So the most important thing is, thank you for joining. We hope to see you around in the community in the future. Join the KDev Google group to get general information. Check out also Kubernetes/community for an overview of your community. Follow the new contributor guide to get familiar with this, and go to Slack and also join the Kubernetes new contributor channels, and then join the channels of the SIG that you're interested in. So you now learned the basics of how the community works. Are there any further questions? If not, thank you for listening, and see you hopefully in any other Kubernetes related meetings soon.
Thank you.